So first, we have the Rowsfire A106, which is a mini overhead panel. The lighting panel, the adheres was single. The fuel pumps, the battery was one single switch for both batteries. All worked on this, worked really well. I've been using it in conjunction with the MobiFlight software. However, now we have the A107 from Rowsfire, which, as you can tell from the outside of the box, there's a lot more buttons going on in this one here. So let's go open the box because I have not seen this yet. Very well packed box with the appropriate sponges to protect everything. And I'm assuming this is going to be a stand. It's a foldable stand that folds out and you can adjust the angle of it and so forth. This is a desk stand. We also have the appropriate instructions how to do this. Scan it with your phone. It will give you access to the Google Drive that has all the profiles for MobiFlight to make it work with the different planes that they have made profiles for. Comes with a USB 3.0. It's an angled plug, which I like. I love the angled plug so it doesn't stick out too far, just flush mount against it. That's it. But here is the unit. Oh, wow. And I must say it is much, much bigger than the A106. So that's the A106 in comparison. So this is going to be a little bit over twice the size of the A106. For comparison's sake, let's look at it from the side so you can see the difference in size that way. And it is almost as long this way. Now we're going to go over all these buttons that we have on here. What I love about it, you have the adheres. You have 3 separate adhere switches. And I'll go ahead and tell you what these switches feel like right away. Very good. Clicks into place. Not soft. The knobs are good on it. So you have the 3 adheres here. You have the on-bat light that was not on the 106. You have the GPWS landing flap 3 and the oxygen crew supply button. That's also there too as well. You have the light switches, that strobe lights, beacon lights, wing lights, nav lights, and so forth. Taxi takeoff lights, land lights, and the runway turn-off lights. Now these do spin around. Seems to be an issue with most people who make this kind of stuff. They can't get this glued on, or is it this way in the real world? I don't know. Does it matter? Not really. Same thing with these switches. You have the start button, master, and the APU gen on there. Continuing on the bottom here, you have your signs: no smoking, seatbelts, external light signs. So you have the exit light, arm, disarm are on. You have the overhead integrated light. The overhead integrated light takes the place of the side button here, the side switch that was managing the light panel here. So now it's going to be more similar to the actual airplane itself. You have the overhead integrated light switch, which is really nice. Love that. You have a wiper button now. The other one did not have a wiper, has a wiper switch on that. Also have a TCAS standby. Now this is not in the overhead panel in the real thing. This TCAS button generally is down on your center pedestal. You have the standby mode, the TA to TARA. Will I remember to use it up here? I don't think so. And you have the attendant call button. So they have moved stuff around. You have your anti-ice, which is the wing and the engine anti-ice, 1 and 2. You also have the packs for the APU, pack 1, pack 2, and the APU bleed button there. And that goes along after you've turned on your master for your APU gen, and so forth. Now, what I love about it, it has the windows for the battery voltage. We're going to have to see that in action when we hook it up to the sim, but that is good. So when you go to press battery 1, then you will see the voltage light up, battery 2, get the voltage, and so forth. This is pretty cool. We're going to take a look at that. You have the external power here as well. And that external power, not really where it is in the real airplane, doesn't matter. We have the external power button. And then you have the fuel pump buttons. Left tank, pump 1 and 2. You have the pump 1, pump 2, I guess is for the center, not sure entirely. Then you have the fuel mode selector, which I've never used in an Airbus. And you have the right tank 1 and 2. Also have the engine fire warning panels. We'll see how those lights up. Our engine fire warning. Now this does not flip up at all, but you have the text buttons for that. You have the test button for engine 1, test button for the APU, test button for the engine 2. I guess we're going to have to start doing engine fire test on here. Some of these buttons are recess buttons when you press them and they come back out. And the thing with this, in the sim, if you leave this in a particular state, turn your computer off, come back next day to fly the airplane, and then fire this back up, your airplane is going to be left in the same condition that this panel is left in. So if you leave a pump on or a bleed switch on or something on, when you fire the aircraft back up the next time and give it power, that switch is going to be pressed in. So you got to make sure when you shut down, you take it all the way back to cold and dark with all the switches over here, which is very, very nice. The A107 is also a metal, seems like aluminum casing on the back of it. Very well nicely sprayed and put together. Feels good, cold to the touch, very nice. On the back, you have the mounting option. It's going to be a VESA mount. You have your USB 3.0 to the side. We're going to have to mount this in the sim in the overhead so we'll reach up and press it. But if it's anything like the 106, I know it's all going to work and work good out of the box, but just a much bigger size with more buttons on it. So as far as measurement was concerned, the A106 was about 8.5 inches by 4.25 inch. The A107 is much larger. That's going to span you about 10 inches by 8.25 inches. So 10 by 8.25 for the A107. And I am very much interested in going to the sim and firing this up. So let's go do that. So here's the current setup, and it's specifically the A106. I have that mounted above my monitor, and that's where I have it. And from the seat, I can reach over to manipulate the switches here, turn them on and off, and it's okay. But with this big overhead that I'm about to add, which is more than twice the size of that, I'm gonna need this above my head. So this one we need to have completely above our heads, all the way up here somewhere. Right, so we got it installed in the overhead. And, we're gonna fire it up now, and it's very simple to do. Go to the RTR Hobby website and pull up the A107. You scroll down here, you'll get a link, and it says MobiFlight configuration file via your GitHub. So here it is, and you have already downloaded. You go File, Rowsfire A107. When I open Rowsfire A107, we're going to tell it to open that, and it wants us to link the new A107 panel here. Select an orphan serial number, and we're going to assign it to the A107 here. Hit assign. Now the sim knows exactly how to go ahead and map the physical hardware to this. And let's go ahead and hit the run button here. And then once we hit the run button, this came immediately alive, because now it is working with the airplane. And also we have the integral lighting. We can turn that up as much as we want. Now, if you look at the overhead panel here, it says APU gen is off, and on here it says APU gen off. Also shows you the fuel is in manual selection, and I have a right fuel pump off there. And in the sim, same thing. We have the mode selector in manual, and we have one of the right fuel pumps off. Now APU is not started, so we're gonna go ahead and start that. Let's go ahead and hit the APU master. Here's my blue light there. APU master comes on. That's about 3 seconds. Let's go ahead and hit the APU start. There it is. And then APU start comes on there. We'll wait for the APU to fire up and give us the APU bleed light, and we'll be able to turn it on up here. All the light switches just work. They work really, really well. Seatbelt signs can go on like that, and the no smoking sign is on as well. It's time to test the fire lights and see if the engine fire lights work. There it is. You press that button and the engine fire warning pops out. That is pretty cool. You could pop that out, and we can pop it back in. I didn't even know these can come out. There it is, it's back in. So that does work. Does the warning work, the test? Yep, there it is. Engine fire test light works there. Engine fire test lights works here. Pretty good. And lastly, let's do the APU fire test. If we squeeze the APU fire test button, it lights up there, it lights up there at the top as well. So all in all, the overhead panel does work. Is it worth the price? Right now there's a 15% discount that's going on with the panel itself if you check out the RTR Hobby website. So currently it is on pre-sale for $459 at the RTR Hobby website. There's going to be a link in the description below for that. Now, if you want to spend that much on an overhead panel, this is perfect for you to do, because this is probably the only one that's going to be within the price range right now. All the major overhead panels are going for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. Is it perfect? No. I don't like the fact that the software has to be used by a MobiFlight, but MobiFlight is a powerful tool that's available to all kind of hardware manufacturers to use for their different hardware in the sim. However, it's the cheapest available right now for a overhead. There's other mini overhead panels that are coming out, but I'm not sure when those are going to be available and what the cost of those are. In the meantime, this one does work. It is really good. It's got a lot more buttons than the A106. So this is the A107 version 2, which is pretty good in the sim. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for checking this one out. Have a great day. Bye.